Mix up a blue purple.
Yeah. This is really blue. Sometimes I put a little more red in it. Just something. The blue works really nice for a lot of the things I've been doing of late. Maybe just to cover the surface, so. Okay. And then what I'll do is come in with a rag, just wipe it down, not completely off, but just enough so that the whole surface is covered. Now you can do it either with mineral spirits or with some medium. I like to put a little medium in it, it just makes it a little bit. The reason I'm taking the clamps off is because there's a white spot underneath there. And if I do this, then it still won't get painted, but it won't be a white spot when I get there.
Okay.
And since we're just making something up, let's make a horizon line. Let's make it a little bit lower than halfway, and just something interesting. Okay. Now let's also go this way. What we're looking for is you want some angles, so that you get this kind of dancing back and forth. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back in now with some more of this, still with the dark. Let's put a tree line in here.
Oh, red.
That's all right. It's all going to get covered up anyway. Let's make this tree a little taller. So like that. Then I'm going to take my rag and I'm going to put it in mineral spirits. Just wipe out the sky. What I'm doing now is just kind of building values. Okay. And I've got kind of a plan in mind, but not really. We'll just kind of look at it and see how it develops. When I see a landscape, then I'll say, okay, let's paint that. I'm going to go through a lot of paper now. Usually this is going to be light too. I mean, just in what I've seen a lot of times. But I don't want it as light, probably, as the sky. But having said that, who knows? So, I've got kind of this swale going, and we can, let's see if we can develop some sort of a path. I don't know. But it's kind of, it comes in, not exactly in the center, but kind of coming down. So that kind of leads us back to this little group of trees here. So you got big trees over here. So that's a grisaille. Okay. Okay, so that gives you an idea, just a sense of where your lights and darks are going to be. Does this make sense? Yep. Okay. And you can paint this whole picture with rags and not use brushes at all if you wanted to. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some color right on top of this dark here. What I'm going to do is mix up some viridian and some burnt sienna. It makes a nice, dark, rich, warm green. And you can make it more green or more warm depending on what you want, but those are the two colors you want. And we're going to take a brush, still same brush. Doesn't matter, you can use a smaller brush. See how I'm going to hold the brush on the side like this? And I'm not going to use on the flat, I'm just going to use on the edge. And what I want to do is I'm not pressing very, and I've got a little bit of medium in there. And I'm just dancing back and forth. See how I can move this way and this way? Just kind of dance across. I don't want to cover all that blue because I want some of that blue to come through. We'll use some of that. Or if we cover it all up, we won't. But but the intent is that maybe we will. So a little bit of that shows through. But you see where it's kind of thin here? Yeah. What it's done is it's actually mixed in with that blue. It's still... And what I'm trying to find is kind of an interesting, I can just just lightly go up and down. You see how I can get these kind of marks like this, and still, you see how the brush is still like this, not like that. Now, if I go like this, I can do that too, but it does a little bit different thing. In fact, I guess I do. You turn it over once in a while. Now what let's do is, let's go ahead and run some of this down in here. I'm going to maintain that little path. Let's go ahead and put some of this in here. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Now, let me get my sandpaper. It's a little early for sandpaper. Let's see where it's at. I don't really have much material on there yet, so I'm using the sandpaper probably a little early.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get a little piece of it. And when I come through here, I'm using it as to blend. You can see how it kind of makes some interesting marks. I'm kind of going this way and that way.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not really paying a whole lot of attention to what I'm doing. I'm really wanting to soften these edges down. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and mix up some sky. I think let's use some Naples yellow, I think. Let's make it a warm sky. I don't know if that's what I'm going to like, but we'll try that. Let's thin it down. It's going to get a little green now because there's a little bit of green still in my brush. That's alright too. I'm going to tie it together. It'll read as sky because it's above the trees.
Mm.
It's dark. It's going to be too dark. That's alright. Just something to get. I just want to get it in there. Yeah, I think I'll go ahead and use the same thing down here because I know this is going to lighten up. This might be just about the right value. And what it does, what I'm kind of doing by coming through here is I'm creating grass.
Okay.
Okay. Kind of. And you can see there's some textural stuff underneath that's still showing through. So the paint's pretty thin yet. And what I can do is get a sandpaper again. Just kind of come over it. And just use it to blend it. Now you see this little edge here? I kind of like that. I want to keep that if I can. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to a smaller brush. Not a lot smaller, but a little bit smaller. I'm going to mix some white into that Naples. Before you use a brush, make sure that you always stick it in your mineral spirits first. You don't want a dry brush. And I'm just going to kind of fill that little void in between there. It's kind of creating a band across here. I'm going to kind of drag that down there like that. And what it's doing is, there's a sense that there's some light back there behind those trees. So we can let this up here go darker. Okay. Now, I'm going to take straight Naples. And I'm not really thinning it out. I'm starting to get a little bit more thicker paint. And again, I'm using the brush. You see how it's on edge like this. Not like so much like this, but something like this. And the ferrule, right here on this little corner here, I like to use that. So when I'm doing this with a brush, I can I can swing it back just a little bit. So I get, you see those little scratchy marks that are going up in the trees? You can use those. You can hear it. That's just brush, and then you can hear it when I scratch against. Here. You see that little spot right there? I like that. I'm going to kind of leave that. But you see how it's almost blended in here where it's all the same value. Here it's a little, there's a nice contrast between that dark and that. And then here's this little thicker bit of thicker paint. And I can come in and I can just barely drop in some more, so I get a little bit more of that kind of stuff going on. But that's all I want. I don't want to do it. I want to set up a pattern where you got boom, 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 boom.
Right, spots.
But I do want to come over here and kind of see if I can pull the same kind of thing. A lot of this is happenstance, and it's just from doing it. You'll see. You see when I first put it on there, I don't try to blend it. I just it laid on there. It was like when you're painting a wall and you get a roller full of paint. It's going to look different than after it's in there. Alright, I'm going to take a little bit of this purple that I started with and put a little more red in it. And then I'm going to add just a little bit of Naples to it, which will give me a, I don't know, it'll give me something. Clean my brush out. It's kind of red. It's got a red. That's probably too much. Let's go ahead and. Well, when you have a path, you want to keep it. You want your motion to go across. Now here you see that I've got the brush flat, but I could come back in and do that. I'm just going to kind of feather it out to here. That's too dark, so what I'm going to do is, let's see what happens if I take a rag. You can see what I do is I use the rag quite a bit as a.
And you put mineral spirits on there to
well,
wipe it
mineral
out?
spirits so I can wipe it off. You know, I don't want to take it all completely off, but I want to be able to make it juice it up so I can move it around. And I don't know, you know, kind of like a plank road of some sort. I don't want it to just come straight like this. I want it. I would like it to curve. So let me go back and I'm going to take. Now I'm going to take some cad yellow and some of this viridian. It's going to give me a. That's too strong. I'm going to add just a little bit of the burnt sienna. It'll knock that down just a little bit. But it's not as dark as that I put on here first. Take a small brush again. You see how it's got a kind of a rich. It's not as dark as that, but it's darker than this. So it's going to give me a layer. So I start getting these layers. And I'm just going to feather that down. I think that comes out into the. See how I can just kind of take the edge and kind of work it. And I just kind of work that out into the. And I don't want it to come straight across. Let's put it up a little higher on this one, this side. And again, we're just looking at values. Value. This could be any color. It could be red. It'd be different, but it'd be red. You know, it still work. Okay, so now I'm going to take that purple that I had in here. I'm going to add a whole bunch of
Naples and white.
Yeah, I'm going to lighten it down. Yeah, I got a little Naples, a little white to it. I want a little color in it, but I want it to be pretty light, I think. Sometimes I don't know. Since I'm making it up, I don't have anything to compare to.
Is that value being so close a problem?
Yeah, it is. That's why I'm going to.
Ah, okay.
What you can do is. So what I'm going to do is let's darken this up.
Yeah, so that gives you the contrast.
Now, I'm losing the path. I'm okay with that. I'm kind of liking what some of this is. It's kind of random. I'm not married to that path. Let's go ahead and put some lights in here. And I'm kind of turning the brush. I got it flat and then I got an edge. But there's a lot of this kind of stuff. You notice I do a lot of this.
Yeah.
And only when I get it to where there's some things happening. It's like a Rorschach test in a sense, in that you just kind of lay it down and you look at it and say,
See what it becomes.
Yeah. Now I'm going to go back in and throw some, like this dark area. I really love this. This is the best. This is the best part right here. I'm going to kind of leave that alone, but I want to. You see how I can lay that in, and it makes a pretty nice dark. I'm going to find these little places. I'm just going to kind of drop that in. I'm going to do all the way through here, but. And I like these little, that created that little hard edge there against this soft. I kind of like that. And this is something you just have to play with until you get to where you start seeing this stuff. What I'm getting is, you know, that contrast between that. And remember this little thing here that I talked about? It's still there, and I really like it, and I like this dark here against it. Doesn't mean I won't wipe it out later, but it probably, you know, it may just end up staying there. So I'm just kind of working across here. I want some soft and I want some hard. Kind of get a balance. Now see, that picked up some, I don't know, picked up something. So it's a flat area, but it's not as dark as this,
Mhm.
and that's okay. So my pressure on a brush, sometimes I'm pressing hard,
Mhm.
and sometimes I'm going very light. When I press hard, what it does is, you can see
Takes off some of the
it actually
paint.
it does more of a blending.
Mhm.
It takes it back down to the surface, which is white,
Mhm.
and so you can get a light area. So it lightens it up just because you've taken paint off, actually. It looks like you put paint on, but you didn't.
So your dark that you're putting in there becomes kind of the understory of the trees, the shadows?
Kind of, yeah. Yeah, you know, typically, you know, whatever light you've got, whether it's behind or it's on top, you know, it's above. And that's why we read it the way we do. If you turn this upside down, it would look upside down because the light will look like it's coming from below. And so that means if the light's hitting this, and you're where the tree line hits, typically is going to be dark. It doesn't have to be, but that's going to give that contrast.
Right.
Is what that makes these this little bit of stuff pop. It really doesn't need a whole lot more. What I would think then too is, you know, we've created this, which is in front of this because it's a different value. Now what I could do is I could come in and I could darken this down. What that's going to do is it's doing the same thing as the trees. Is there's lights hitting this, and it's going to have a dark edge. So let's take some of this and see. Now when I start doing this, sometimes I think it's going to work and it doesn't.
And then maybe not.
But you know, and just again, what you can do is you can use the you know, just find that edge on that brush, and you see that in there. Actually, what it's doing there is it's taking paint off, and that just by slowing down. The closer you get to the end, the more you want to slow down, because you can make these little grass motions. And you see how the grass is dancing this way and that way. And here you can, let's put a little dark in here. We don't have to go all the way across, but just maybe here. And a lot of this is from observation of things I've seen. You haven't seen all this stuff. You will after you do more of it. Let's see how I can do that. Just kind of drag that. Now you see how there's now we're getting this. We're dancing back into, and this is very far back here.
Right.
Okay, now what I'm going to do is
there's not stripes. You haven't created stripes or patterns.
It is stripes.
It is, but it's got some
but they've got some interest,
variation
and they have their own.
And there's not patterns of certain colors in certain places, and nothing.
Now we almost have a pattern here. We go boom, 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 and they're almost. What I'm going to do is come back in with the sandpaper. You know, I'm going to go across the top of the trees. So the
sandpaper is more effective after you've got more paint on?
It is. You see what happens here? And
it's starting to tack up a little bit.
No, you want to do it while it's wet.
Oh.
You see what happens? See that?
Okay.
What I can get in those particularly dark areas, I can use it as a it's a drawing tool.
Okay.
And what it's starting, you know, what it does is it gives you the illusion that this stuff is, you know, it's got branches of tree. It's also working like a half tone. What it does is it's taking half of the dark off, so you've got dark and light with these lines, and it gives you the illusion that it's a gray.
Okay.
It's what we call a half tone. It's just what they do in used to do in printing. I guess they still do. You know, we have black dots and white dots. Okay.
You've got a minute. Yep.
So what we can do then is come into this area, and you watch what happens when I do that. I can use this. And you can only do this when the panel's fresh, because once it dries,
you can't get the paint off.
It doesn't do this as well.
Okay.
That's why it's so nice for plein air, because in theory you're going to be doing this all in one sitting.
Right.
So, but what I'm doing is I'm scratching all the way down to the surface. But you know, again, just try to reinforce those grasses, and you know, let them do. You know, let them move this way and that way. Grass, you know, these tall grasses, and I see how I can drag that up. It's not dragging really color, but it's giving the illusion that it's dragging color, but it gives, you know, some of that feathery stuff is going up in here.
And breaks up that edge a bit.
Yeah, it's breaking up the edge as well. So, and I'm doing that into the sky. Now what I'm going to do is, and you know, and again, you know, you kind of you get a feel for it. A lot of this is just from doing and doing. All right, I'm going to mix up some more Naples and white. And I want to
bright spot there.
Right. Yeah, kind of there. Again, this is another reason why I wanted this to be off-centered. This is off-centered, this is off-centered. Because if you put it smack dab in the middle, it doesn't work as well compositionally. So we're kind of, we've got this, it kind of comes down and it comes back up, but it kind of does it off to the center. There's this idea of thirds where you can, if you break it into thirds this way and this way, compositionally you can make things, you can use that as a formula, but which essentially we've got going. This is happening in the third. And I'm just going to feather it out. I'm not going to go all the way across. This is going to be my light area, and I'm going to just kind of bring it out and out. If it was the sun, as you've done, you've done sunsets, you notice that it goes and it feathers out. And by the time you get out here, it's a completely different color. And I'm going to take a little bit more white and just lighten that up even a little bit more. It doesn't have to be white. It's gonna blend in with a little bit of Naples in there. And this again, you can see I'm on the edge of the brush, just trying to kind of drag it. See this little thing here? I don't like that, so I'm going to take that out. But it doesn't have to be completely blended. In fact, that's not what we're trying to do. But at the same time, you kind of look at your marks, and you don't want anything that's really weird unless it works. So you kind of step back. I see kind of a dark area right here. So I don't want that. I'm just gonna. I can come up. And this is pure paint. I'm not putting any kind of.
That's your Naples in white with the brush that has some green in it.
Well, this is just white now, and I'm just going on top of the Naples that I put there before. And I'm going to do. I'm just going to kind of. Actually, let's take Naples to be better. I want to go white. And we're just going to kind of drag it through at an angle. Your clouds will sometimes do this sort of thing. In fact, when you get out in the field, you'll see this kind of stuff. And then
and doesn't the paint clog up the sandpaper?
Well, it does. You got to throw it away.
Oh, okay. So you can.
You
can't use it very long.
No, after a while it gets all clogged up. You got to throw it away. That's why you got to
stir it over.
Yeah.
And using the small pieces is a good idea.
Yeah, you don't need a big piece. You need just
a piece the size of your thumb's all you got.
Yeah,
the size of your thumb and
much,
something to hold on to.
So. This is a dark painting, but I kind of like it.
It looks really good in the computer screen.
It's all right.
It's moody.
I'm going to mix up a little bit of green with, again with the cad yellow, which is really
brighten it up a little bit.
Too much. It's too green. So what I want to do then is I'm going to add just a little bit of burnt sienna, not a lot, but just enough to kind of knock it down, because basically what that is, burnt sienna is an orange and a red mixed together, more or less. So you put a little bit in that, and it's complementary of the green, so it's gonna deaden it, and that's what we want. We'll take it down in bagging, but we want it lighter than what the trees now, and then also just a little bit of a greenness to it. You'll see, now this is pretty dry in here. I mean, it's not dry, but it's dry enough that you start putting paint on it, it's going to drag. And that's okay, we can do that. Not sure if I like that all that much. But you see that when I put it in, it's kind of dragging up into that, because there's quite a bit of paint here in this white area. I'm going to just kind of drag it. What happens is, typically, if you've got light, again, in situations you'll start seeing it. You're going to see, if it's light here, you're going to see this is going to have some color. By the time it gets back here, it's going to be pretty much in silhouette. So, in fact, what I want to do is I want to knock this down. It's got too much. What this is doing now, what I'm putting on. It's kind of blending in with some of that.
Soften up that bright green.
Just so there's a nice transition, because I like this and I like this, but it's got to be an even kind of motion across there. So I like this. This is really soft here because what we're doing is we're trying to get the eye to go here, and everything else is just out of focus, and which is essentially how we see things, even though the camera doesn't see it that way. The camera would try to deal with all this over here, but we don't see things that way. We want our eye to come here. So if there's a little bit of focus here, even though it's pretty rough.
That brighter green really does add a lot of.
Yeah, and I'm not sure I like that color.
I know.
It's not quite.
But the contrast between the dark, though.
Yeah, I'm gonna actually what I'm gonna do is take a little bit more of the burnt sienna and see if I can put some brown. See, I can brown that up a little bit. And that kind of it's still not quite right, but you get the idea.
There comes a point when you put too much color on there.
You can
too
overdo
many
it.
different colors.
Yeah. Well, what I do is if I get to fussing with it too much, it gets fussy.
Overworked.
That's where I get the
take it down.
get the
You're
sandpaper
right.
again, and I'll take it down.
So that's sort of a good rule of thumb.
Yeah.
If you're not liking what it's doing, knock it down
just take
with
out the
some
sandpaper. Yeah, it's a lot of times I think, well, I don't know what to do next, so I'll get the sandpaper on. And maybe it's a crutch of sorts, but it's always making interesting marks. And the other thing you can do, I haven't done that. So I'm gonna take just some medium, no color other than what's on the brush, and I'm gonna lay this in here. And instead of using a lighter color, what I'm doing is I'm taking some color off and letting it drip a little bit. And that takes, again, you're going back down to your ground. And also because you put in some medium, you can see where you start getting some hard edges. It's easier to get that when it's a little juicier. Let that drag down just a little bit. And over here. What it's doing is it's juicing up the paint that's on the surface and then moving it around. And I just kind of mix it in there, and then I use the brush to kind of. And if I really wanted to, I could come in here with a rag. It makes just a.
Wipe out some of it while it's really loose.
Yeah,
like that.
while it's loose, just come in and you can do some stuff with it.
I like what that's doing when you take it up higher. I've done that before, and then my tree line starts to eat the entire painting.
Yeah, you have to be careful that you don't start letting it grow.
Yeah.
What I heard that Patrick is doing is he takes pieces of jean cloth, pieces of old blue jeans, and carries it instead of using a paper towel. But as far as just using it as a blending tool, I don't know. I kind of like the paper towel's all right, but.
Well, you go through a lot of
Now you see this little gob of stuff here. I mean, I could leave that, but I think I don't want to. I think I'll get something here and see. Just blend it out. So you can take the trees into the sky, but you can also take the sky into the trees. You have to be careful though that it doesn't. It's finesse. Yeah. You see this little hard edge here? I like that.
Right.
I'm going to keep that. This is okay. And this little softness, I know what's going on here. This little thing here, we just. It's okay to use your finger. I kind of like that little tree that's sticking up there. Now, this is basically doing this, but sometimes I would want it to be a little bit more free-form. But see, I could just kind of drag that down a little bit.
Are you happy with this harder edge here along this base?
Yeah, I am. Except you see where I got boompa, 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 boompa. It looks like
some patterns, a heart monitor.
Heart monitor, exactly. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take just some straight Naples, and let's just kind of go over that and see if that's.
Break it up, or put another shape down below to make that other.
Maybe, yeah, we could. Let's do that. I like that idea. Let's do this. I'm going to fill this little area in here.
So what is that light place that was going to be a path? Is it just a light place in the ground now?
It's still
it kind of looks like a path.
It's still a path. It's just not. It's not a definite path with.
Okay.
It's still path-like. It's path-esque.
Pathish.
Pathish.
I like the trees in the sky.
See, my brush was a little dirty in there, but that's okay. I kind of like what that did. Kind of. This I'm not crazy about that, so I'm just going to kind of drag through that. But if you get into something, where it's just not really, again, working, just make some. Now what I'm going to do, typically on a path, I like to at some point you want to have these horizontal marks.
Okay.
It's like when painting an arm or a leg. You don't paint the length of it, you paint across it. It just gives the illusion. I'm not sure I'm so crazy about that, but
when you get some vertical lines on the side to make an edge.
Yeah, a little bit. But I think I need to leave it alone. All right, now I'm going to go back. I want some dark in here. A lot of times it's a little dark along that path. It's a little mushy, muddy there, but it's okay. Then the other thing I could do is my knife, just by coming in. And again, anywhere you've got dark, you can come in. Now, what's nice about the knife is I can use the point, or I can use it the side, or I can use a big section like this. But I can kind of give the illusion of branches.
But you got to be careful not to make a pattern.
Yeah, you end up doing too much. And you want some of these to to go kind of like this. It's just, the idea that everything's kind of growing towards this center. And as you do that, you see that because now I left that blue in there. And that's just because I hadn't gotten to it, but it gives the illusion that it goes way back in there. And I could come up and you want to make sure you don't put them all the same distance apart. Put a couple close together here. And there you are. Cool. That's pretty much it. So then I think it needs a little dark in here. Just to
get some contrast with this.
Yeah, a little contrast in there against that. So, and sign it, call it done.
Now, would you stop at this point, or would you do something else?
No, I think I don't think that's a bad painting. I mean, considering I didn't know what I wasn't looking at anything.
Right, and you did the whole thing in 25
I
minutes.
I like this a lot. I like that this dark is got some blue in it. So it's really setting back. It's really kind of a nice. This color ended up being a pretty nice color. We still got some of that crazy green.
Right, but there's not too much.
But it's not
too strong.
But this has got a nice. This is much warmer. This is kind of mushy. I need to do something with this edge. Not a lot, but I'd like to see. Well, you know what I could do. I said that. Let's just. You see where here's what I'm doing is I'm just putting the brush flat like this and just laying it down there and just dragging it up. You'll see Sean do this a lot. He does this kind of stuff because he's the grass man. And that just kind of, you can see what it does. It just kind of gives you some darks in there to give it. You can overdo it and you have too much contrast. But again, these brushes are kind of nice. These are the rosemary brushes. You can see where, you still, even though I beat these things to poop, they still will pull an edge. You see the grasses in there.
That looks good. That really helped.
So what you can do, we can try one more thing. Let's see. This is one of the, I don't know what these are called.
A liner?
Yeah, liner, that's what they're called. Sometimes you can, actually, what do you do with it? And the way to make these work is you've got to use quite a bit of medium just to get it to, but you can, this one's kind of beat up too. I've been using this one a lot. I need to probably get a fresher one, but if you get enough medium on it, pretty juicy, you can, you can pull up.
Just a little there in the middle where you want your
you don't want to go
eye
everywhere. Just a few spots. Again, you can look at some of Sean's paintings and you'll see this kind of stuff. But you see how I'm kind of holding it, it very delicately so that I can take it and I can.
And it just barely touches the surface.
I can dance it across. Come up and change direction.
Those little details make all the difference.
Yeah, they kind of they bring that foreground. Now I don't know if I like those or not, but But worst case, if you don't like them, then just wipe it all down and do it again. Try it again. You can do it with the edge of a knife. You can see how you can get a really. And again, all I'm doing is
I can't see that changing anything.
Well, it's just making some really fine lines.
Okay.
You can see it there. You can see it in the.
Yeah, in the dark.
Yeah, in the dark. And what you can do is you can take this where it's just starting to round, come up, and you can just kind of change direction. And you can see where you kind of get. It makes.
It adds some more interest there.
Yeah, just some little different kind of marks. And you have to learn how to. It adds a little something to it, maybe. You can do it this way too. So, palette knife can be used for more than just mixing up paint and putting it on thick. You can use it as a, and for that matter, you really want to get technical, use the end of the brush, and you can make marks too. It does very much what the knife was doing. So you've got a lot of tools at your disposal. You just have to learn how to use them. Okay? Now the path is really starting to look like a path.
Yeah, it's more obvious. Either a path
and it's just
or
really
a lake
just
or
because
something.
of this little dark thing here and this little dark thing here.
An edge.
Possibly some dark in there would be good, but I think we'll just leave it alone. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to mix up. Take that purple again.
You've got about a minute and a half.
Okay. A little purple and just add it. I'm just going to put some pure paint in here. Let's get some white and add to the purple and just give it a little different color other than everything being green, and just some marks in here. So just like so. Okay?
Oh, it's good. Yeah.
All right. All right, shut her down.